Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us from surviving to thriving. I'm here with our Imam of Al Masjid, Imam Abdulrahman Basheer. Welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Viewers, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Yes. Last time we were talking about having this fear, which is so natural. We are all affected. The fear of getting infected, the fear of loss, the fear of all the things that we are experiencing. And it's so normal. And we are hardwired for this, to find what is wrong within a situation. We're hardwired for it. And it's a survival mechanism. If we don't have some level of fear, then we may do some negligent things. So we just have to keep it in check, making sure that this fear does not immobilize us. It actually, we can take it and transform it, because we need to acknowledge it in order for us to transform it. If you try to suppress it, where a lot of people may say, don't feel fear, don't be afraid. And if I tell you, don't think about a pink elephant, what are you going to think about? Imam Abdulrahman,
a pink elephant.
Right,
Yes.
right. So we are going to think about that thing that you're saying, don't think about, because the brain actually cancels out that negative word. And so if you say, don't eat junk, you're going to be eat junk, eat junk, eat junk. So you need, instead of telling yourself, don't be afraid, tell yourself, be calm. And suppressing it is not going to help, because suppression is like taking a beach ball, holding it underwater, and then eventually it's going to come all up. So we need to acknowledge the fear that we have in order to transform it. So I'm wondering, Imam Abdulrahman, what is tawakkul and what role does it play in helping us to transform this fear so we can go from surviving to thriving?
Well, the concept of tawakkul comes from the root of wakala, which means to assign responsibility, to designate, to move something forward, to take an issue and move it forward so that someone else is in charge, right? In normal vernacular, the word wakil is understood to be lawyer or attorney. And so in our worldly situation, a lawyer represents the client. A lawyer fights for the client. A lawyer makes sure that the client is protected, and it does not say or do anything that will go against the best interest of the client, because that's what that lawyer, that wakil has, that's the duty of that wakil. That is what they have been hired for. So likewise, tawakkul, wakala, tawakkul means to establish that bond starting from the heart with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawakkul means to assign the responsibility, to assign the outcome to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know and to understand this relationship, and to know and understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works in my best interest. Even though, you know, the trial, in no pun intended, that we may be in, the lawyer, you know, even though the trial looks like it's going against us, or the odds may be stacked against us, or society may look at something, the grand jury may look at something that, oh, this is going down, but the lawyer says everything's going to be fine. I know what I'm doing. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us when he says, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that I know what I'm doing. So just hang in there. Know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has your back, just like your lawyer has your back. And if we can give that much credit that we give to a lawyer, you know, if we can, when a lawyer tells us, oh, everything's going to be fine, even though we have done something wrong, we have this sense of comfort that, okay, I'll be good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that again and again, we'll be good.
I like the fact that you give a practical perspective and make it something that we can relate to. These analogies and metaphors have a profound impact on us, because it's so easy to say have tawakkul, but the how part is so important, and visualizing the fact that we do give so much trust when we have a lawyer. We just surrender, and we need to have that even more surrender to Allah and have more trust.
So now, you know, since we talked about the concept of tawakkul, right? It's so tawakkul, we should trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have this feeling. How do we apply tawakkul? Are there any, techniques on how to take this concept of tawakkul and apply it in not just our mindset, but our day-to-day, week-to-week tasks and duties?
Absolutely. We don't choose our hardship. None of us chose to be in this pandemic. We don't choose to lose our jobs or have financial issues or have cancer, God forbid. We can only choose our response. So we are in this situation. We may feel completely out of control, or we don't have a say in what has happened to us, but we can choose our response. And that's where the power is in, right? So between stimulus and response, there needs to be a pause button where you reflect and you think about, what is it that I need to do right now? Because this is our test, right? We're in a global test, and we need to see, how are we going to respond? Am I just going to be impulsive? Am I just going to be immobilized? Am I just going to give up and throw in the towel? Or am I going to respond in a way that all of these years of, listening to the khutbahs and reading the Quran and having all that spiritual training, am I now going to demonstrate that? Am I going to show my faith? And am I going to show my trust in Allah by responding in a correct way? And that's where the magic lies, is knowing that you have some control, right? Because many people are just getting very anxious or very depressed because they feel they have no control, but you do have control. And that's something that it is very empowering. And this is what I always teach my clients, that no matter what circumstance you're in, it may be very trying and it may be very difficult right now, and you're struggling, but know that you are empowered because you can choose your response. And it reminds me of a book that I read years ago in graduate school, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And it was just very profound that this is a psychiatrist that was in a concentration camp, and he survived it, but he saw everyone around him dying and going through such horrific experiences. And he used his knowledge of psychology, and he thought, you know what, how can I survive this? He thought, I will go through this and teach others, and I will derive meaning from this horrific experience. And that's exactly what he did. And so he talks about a 3-step plan in dealing with something horrific like this. One is that you do good deeds, right? You take action, you're proactive. And the antidote to hopelessness is helpfulness, right? So however you can help. Now, whether that's just checking on your neighbors, whether that's being a source of guidance, being a source of inspiration, helping out, volunteering, whatever it is, as long as you take action, then you are going to feel a lot more. You're going to have a sense of meaning out of this. And the second thing is, you have to have the sense of connection. When you connect, even though we have social isolation, we can connect. We can connect online. We can check up on our friends and our family members. And I am hearing that more people are actually having more deeper relationships and deeper conversations because of all of this. And then it's basically having the attitude where you have the attitude of making meaning, right? You are deriving meaning, and you change the tragedy into a triumph. So it's these 3 things combined together. It is doing the good deeds, having the connection, and having the right mindset to be able to actually have that trust and triumph.
MashaAllah, that's that definitely is very important for us to remind ourselves that to continue the good deeds, right, and to also be in the right mindset. One of the things that contributes towards the right mindset is being reminded again and again about that right mindset, right? Last week we talked about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa alayhi salam very straightforward, La takhaf wa la tahzan, don't worry, don't be grieved. Hey, come back. You're gonna come out on top of this. Innaka antal a'la. One way to help with the mindfulness, without sounding cliche, many times viewers may think that, oh, we've heard this again and again. Yes, you are going to hear things again and again, because those are the paths, those are the keys, to overcome this. One of the things is to do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what type of dhikr do I mean? Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is enough for us, right? Or hasbi Allahu. Allah is enough. That's it. That is a statement. You're not asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anything. You're making a statement. You're making a proclamation, right? The group in Surah Kahf, إِذْ قَامُوا فَقَالُوا رَبُّنَا رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. It's about standing up, making a firm stand once and for all, and making a declaration, which is dhikr. Hasbunallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for me. I don't need anyone, anybody other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa ni'mal wakil. And what an amazing wakil. What an astonishing ni'mah. What a beautiful, what an amazing wakil. Out of all of the human beings out there who say, out of all of the voices outside that say, hey, don't worry about it, I got your back. The best voice amongst all of those voices is the voice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. I mean, and وَعَلَى اللَّهِ, and it is only on Allah. The wording of this ayah. It's important that as we read Quran, we have to put on a special type of lens while we are reading the Quran. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And it is only on Allah, فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that believers better be trusting on. فَلْيَتَوَكَّل. This is a command. You better be doing this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, you better be trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remind ourselves of Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. We will get tired of saying this, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not get tired of reminding us again and again who to really trust. So not only is it important for us to comfort each other through words, but we should comfort ourselves as well. To sit down and remind ourselves who your lawyer is, who is working for you. And this lawyer doesn't have a partnership, right? There's not a partner of lawyers. There's no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a sole proprietorship. There's no shirka, there's no corporation. There's one and done. That's it. What do lawyers say? Lawyers on where I lived in New Orleans is a very famous lawyer who I don't want to give business to right now, but on their billboard, one call, that's all. One and done.
That's catchy.
One and done. That's it. And we'll take care of you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that walillahi al-mathalul a'la. Allah's billboard is the Quran. Allah's billboard is everywhere else. لو توكلتم على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير, right? What does a bird do? A bird, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to trust him like a bird trusts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does a bird do? Does a bird know where it's going to come from? Where its risk is going to come from? How hard or not hard it's going to have to work? But it still gets up off of its branch, right? And flaps its wings and does what it needs to. Same thing with us. We do what we need to, but we have to constantly remind ourselves that if Allah brought us to it, he will get us through it. And there's another, huh?
And it's so liberating when you do that. You're no longer feeling this sense of anxiety that you have to keep it together. You have to micromanage. You have to do all these things. It liberates you when you put that trust in Allah.
Now, since we are talking about the concept of tawakkul, right? How does applying this concept of tawakkul, right? So I talked about how it puts you in this comforting mood, reassuring ourselves that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us. What are some other effects that reassurance has on one's mood and, I want to say, maybe comfort level?
Mm-hmm. Well, trust is such an important aspect of any relationship, you know, that when it's one of the main pillars. So you have the trust, you have that respect, and you have love. And now, if you have anything happen to trust, let's take, for example, in a marriage, if a trust is broken, then there is this sense of feeling so lost. And there's so much stress and anxiety when a trust is broken. But what's so reassuring is when we have this trust with Allah, like you said, is the best wakil, and we can have actual serenity, and we can surrender and feel a sense of peace when we are trusting, when we have that trust in Allah. And when we have any kind of relationship, if there's the trust exercise, right, where you fall backwards and you see if your spouse can catch you or not, right? That's a big trust. If you know, are they going to catch me, right? And sometimes siblings do that with each other, is being able to,
Or
like,
do they
okay,
want to catch me?
they don't want. Well, this is the big test.
Or do they want to catch me,
Do
right?
they want to, right? But when you put that trust in Allah, you know, you are, even, you know, there are times, and I think we're all going through this, and I felt this once before when we moved, let's say, from Egypt. We were here from Egypt for just a summer vacation, and then a military coup happened. We didn't go back, and we're just with our suitcases, and we had to start a whole new life. And I felt like the rug was pulled underneath us, and we were tumbling in the air. And I think we're all globally feeling that. We feel like the rug was pulled out, we are tumbling. But what I always say is, you know, think about a trapeze artist, okay? Trapeze artist, what gives them that confidence to be able to do all those stunts? What do you think?
Uh, Either concrete on the bottom or safety net.
The safety net, right? So they have, and you know, sometimes people say no, they practice, they have skills. No one would be risking their lives tumbling if that net wasn't there, right? So we have to, and you know, as you said, Allah is above all examples, but He is our safety net. And so while we are tumbling up in the air, we know Allah's got us. And having that sense of trust in Allah, and knowing that whatever we're going through is actually best for us. And it's so hard to really conceptualize that, because so many people are like, what's good about this? And I'm cooped up in the house, and you know, my family's getting on my nerves, and all these bad things. But actually, what I'm seeing, I have a group, it's the Mindful Hearts. It's a group of sisters, and it's all about empowerment. And what I'm seeing is that they are applying all the skills that we've been learning all along about putting that trust, being confident, being positive. And what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from them is that this is a time that they're actually thriving. They're thriving in their marriages, they're thriving with their children, they are thriving in themselves. And it's beautiful to see that it can be demonstrated if you know, have that right mindset and you put the right trust, then so many good things can come out of this.
You know, there is a book by Simon Sinek called Start with Why. Not with the what, not with the how, not with the where, definitely not with the news, right? Why do these things happen? And, you know, one way to start in, you know, monetizing, right? Spiritually benefiting and monetizing from our situation is to understand why these things have happened. It may not be the reason we may concoct in our mind may not be the real reason, but if that's the reason that helps you right now, okay. So, you know, okay, I'm trusting in Allah. You know, I'm putting my trust in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. I'm having a hard time getting through this, being cooped up at home in front of the family and kids. But understand the why, right? Why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala put me in this situation. Maybe I had lost my trust in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, or I wasn't expressing my trust enough in the past. I mean, you know, sometimes we need that little nudge or that nip in the butt, and this may be that nip in the butt. You know, may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala forgive us from, you know, things unfolding, you know, things going downhill from here. The only thing we want going downhill is the number of corona cases, right? We need to curve that, flatten the curve. So, this could be the why behind it, that, the trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't have business hours, right? It's not, okay, apply when needed, apply as needed. No, tawakkul isn't at that tier of medication. It's your daily, hourly, weekly dose of, hey, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I should be trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's easy to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or it's easy to say we have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we know all of our bills will be taken care of at the end of the month, when we know when everything, when we know Amazon Prime is going to deliver on time. It's easy to put trust. Oh yeah, everything will be fine. But then as soon as you get that notification that, oh, there's a delay in delivery, oh my God, don't lose control of your ship. Grab the steering wheel and navigate through this, putting our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes, asking why, like the wisdom behind it, and also asking your why. Like, what is the why, as far as like what is it that you need to do right now, right? And finding your why. That's the key phrase. Finding your why, where, okay, maybe right now I need to step up. I need to be that positive influence for my family. My why is I need to pull together with my community member. And when you do that, then it really gives you that sense of purpose. It really drives you to take action, because the worst thing you could do is just sit at home, get all the news, feel depressed, feel helpless, hopeless, and then you're totally done. You're immobilized. But again, like what I was saying, is that the antidote to helplessness is what was it? The antidote to hopelessness is helpfulness. So we need to find our why and take action, so that we can inshallah, again, go from surviving to thriving, because we don't want to just merely, we don't want to just hold our head above the waters. We want to be able to take this opportunity and see it as the spiritual wake-up call that it is. And like you were saying, that ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub, that with this remembrance of Allah, our hearts are at peace. And mashallah, you see that some people are really able to keep it together because they have that connection, because they are reminded of hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. So inshallah, that we can all have that serenity, we can cope with our fear, and use these practical steps to have tawakkul and the calm, inshallah.
Inshallah. Well, Jazakallah khair, Sister Haleh, for your insight. Thank you for having me. And we just want our viewers to know, inshallah, every Tuesday, supposedly at 1 o'clock. We're getting there. We're getting closer and closer, right?
Closer and closer, so, yes.
Yeah. We trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
Right.
That inshallah we'll be there at 1 o'clock. Thank you for giving us a part of your afternoon, folks. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow our community to benefit from the insight and the wonderful advice that we are hearing from Sister Haleh. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless her and her family. And y'all stay safe as well.
Jazakallah khair for being on. We benefited from all the stories, the anecdotes, verses of the Quran, and may Allah bless you and your family and our whole community and our community globally. I pray that we will get through this, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.